Christian watched his wife Vicky from across the room, smiling and chatting animatedly with her cousins. Her wavy brown hair perfectly framed her delicate face, her eyes shining as she laughed at some joke. Dressed in an elegant navy blue dress, Vicky was as stunning as ever. For a moment, Christian felt a pang of sadness, thinking that soon he would no longer see her like this, so integrated with his family. The banquet hall was beautifully decorated to celebrate Christian's grandparents' golden wedding anniversary. White and gold flowers adorned the tables, and a large banner with the words, 50 Years of Love, hung over the stage. The aroma of roses mingled with the smell of dinner being served, creating a warm and festive atmosphere. Christian adjusted the tie of his grey suit, feeling uncomfortable, not just because of the formal attire, but because of the situation he found himself in. Just a few hours ago, he and Vicky had another heated argument. This time, the reason was trivial. She had forgotten to pay a bill, something that irritated Christian excessively. The harsh words exchanged still echoed in his mind. "You never care about anything," he had shouted. "And all you do is complain," she retorted, slamming the bedroom door. That fight was just the latest in a long series of disagreements that had been occurring in recent months. With just over a year of marriage, Christian and Vicky seemed to have lost the harmony that had united them during their many years of dating. The small irritations of daily life had turned into major obstacles, and communication between them had become increasingly difficult. Christian sighed, running his hand through his dark hair. At 32, he wondered how they had reached this point. He vividly remembered the day he met Vicky 10 years ago at a mutual friend's party. She had charmed him with her sweet demeanour and infectious laughter. Their relationship naturally blossomed, and for years they were considered the perfect couple by everyone around them. But now, everything seemed different. Christian felt tired, frustrated. As an engineer, he was used to solving problems, but his marriage seemed like an unsolvable puzzle. The idea of divorce, once unthinkable, now frequently hovered in his thoughts with increasing regularity. That morning, as they got ready for the party, Christian had made his decision. This would be the last time they attended a family event as a couple. After the weekend, he would talk to Vicky about the separation. The absence of children would make the process less complicated, he thought with a mix of relief and sorrow. "Let's pretend everything is okay, at least today," Vicky suggested in the car, her voice trembling. "We can't ruin your grandparents' party." Christian agreed, although his heart was heavy. He watched Vicky move away toward a group of aunts, her tense posture betraying the forced smile. He knew that she was also suffering from the situation, but he couldn't find a way to fix things. "Hey, cousin, your wife looks very elegant today, huh?" commented Lydia, approaching with a glass of champagne in hand. Christian forced a smile. "Yes, she looks beautiful." "You two make quite the couple. I remember your wedding day, it was incredible," Lydia continued, oblivious to her cousin's discomfort. The memories of his own wedding flooded Christian's mind. The sunny day, Vicky radiant in her white dress, the promises of eternal love exchanged in front of family and friends. How had they come so far, only to be on the brink of the end now? Throughout the night, various relatives came to greet him, many making comments about how beautiful Vicky looked, or about what a lovely couple they were. Each compliment was like a little stab in Christian's chest, reminding him of what he was about to lose. From afar, he watched Vicky interacting with the family. She played with the little nieces and nephews, laughed at the older uncle's stories, and helped the grandmother serve herself at the buffet. She was loved by everyone there, considered part of the family long before officially becoming one through marriage. Christian felt a lump in his throat. Despite all the problems, he still loved her. He loved her caring nature, her dedication to family, her adventurous spirit that encouraged him to step out of his comfort zone. Why couldn't they understand each other like before? The main ceremony of the night was about to begin. The guests gathered around the stage where Christian's grandparents, Anthony and Helena, were seated in decorated chairs. The The master of ceremonies announced that the pastor who had celebrated their wedding 50 years ago would give a short speech. Christian saw an elderly man with white hair and thin-rimmed glasses step onto the stage with slow but steady steps. He didn't know him, but he noticed the look of recognition and affection in his grandparents' eyes. "Good evening, everyone," the pastor began, his voice surprisingly strong for someone of such advanced age. "It is an honor to be here again, celebrating not only 50 years of union, but 50 years of commitment, learning, and true love." The room fell silent, everyone attentive to the religious man's words. Christian felt Vicky approach, stopping next to him without touching him. "Many young couples ask me what the secret to a lasting marriage is," the pastor continued. "They expect a simple answer, a magic formula. But the truth is there is no secret. There is daily work. There is choice." Christian felt a slight tremor run through his body. It was as if those words were directed at him. Romantic love, the one we feel at the beginning of a relationship, is wonderful. But it's not enough to sustain decades of companionship. What keeps a couple together for 50 years like Anthony and Helena is decision love. The pastor paused, his eyes scanning the audience. For a moment, Christian had the impression that the man's gaze rested on him. Decision love is choosing to love your partner every day, especially on days when it's difficult. It's looking at the person beside you and saying, "I choose you, today and always." Even when they leave the wet towel on the bed, even when they forget to pay a bill, even when you disagree on something important. Christian felt his heart race. How did that stranger seem to know exactly what was going on in his marriage? Many couples give up when they face their first major crisis, believing that love is over. But what really happens is that love is evolving, maturing. It is at this moment that we need more than ever to hold on to the commitment we made. Vicky let out a soft sigh beside Christian. He resisted the urge to look at her, fearing what he might see in her eyes. "Marriage is like a garden," the pastor continued. "It's not enough to plant it once and expect it to flourish forever. You need to water it daily, prune the excess, remove the weeds. Sometimes the work is hard and tiring, but when we see the flowers bloom, we realize that all the effort was worth it." Christian thought about all the times he had neglected to water his relationship with Vicky. The small forgotten kindnesses, the words of affection left unsaid, the moments of connection wasted in favor of work or technology. Anthony and Helena are here today, not because they had 50 perfect years. They are here because they chose to stay together through the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows. They understood that true love is not a passive feeling, but a constant action. The pastor smiled, his eyes shining with the wisdom of someone who has lived and observed many love stories. So, if you are here today and feel that your marriage is facing difficulties, I encourage you, do not give up. Remember the commitment you made. Choose to love, even when it's hard. Work on your garden, even when the flowers seem to wither. For it is in the moments of the greatest challenge that we have the opportunity to strengthen our bonds and make our love grow deeper and truer. The pastor's words reverberated throughout the hall, touching hearts in different ways. For Christian, it was as if a veil had been lifted from his eyes. He looked at Vicky, and for the first time in months, he truly saw her. Not just the wife he had been arguing with, but the woman he had fallen in love with, his life partner. The rest of the ceremony passed in a blur for Christian. His heart and mind were agitated, processing everything he had heard. When the guests finally began to disperse, he gently touched Vicky's arm. "Can we talk? Outside?" he asked, his voice trembling. Vicky nodded, a mix of apprehension and hope in her green eyes. They went out to the garden of the reception hall, the cool night air a welcome change after hours inside. For a few moments they remained silent, just watching the stars. Christian took a deep breath, gathering courage. "Vicky, I'm sorry," he began, his voice choked with emotion. I'm sorry for letting things get to this point. She looked at him surprised. Chris, we are both to blame. I was wrong too. I also stopped making an effort. I was ready to give up, Christian confessed, tears finally escaping. I thought there was no solution for us anymore, but that pastor, his words, they hit me too, Vicky added, her own eyes teary. It was as if he was speaking directly to us. Christian took Vicky's hands in his, feeling the familiar warmth of her touch. I choose you, Vicky. Today and always. I don't want to give up on our love, on our marriage. I want to fight for us. Vicky sobbed, a trembling smile appearing on her lips. I choose you too, Chris. I will always choose you. They hugged there under the starry sky, the pastor's words echoing in their minds. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be much to discuss, much to forgive, much to rebuild. But now they understood that true love was a daily choice, a commitment that went beyond momentary feelings. That night, upon returning home, Christian and Vicky had the most honest and profound conversation they had had in months. They spoke about their frustrations, fears, and expectations. They promised each other that they would try harder, seek help if necessary, and not let the small problems accumulate until they became insurmountable mountains. In the days and weeks that followed, the couple began to implement changes in their routine. They established a weekly date where they could talk openly about their feelings and address any pending issues. They went back to doing the little things they used to do at the start of their relationship: loving notes, surprise breakfasts, massages after a tiring day. It was not an easy or quick process. There were moments of relapse, arguments that threatened to reignite old patterns. But every time they were tempted to give up, they remembered the words of the elderly pastor and the commitment they had renewed that special night. Over time, Christian and Vicky rediscovered not just the love for each other, but a new way of loving, a more mature, deeper love based on conscious choice and daily commitment. They understood that marriage, like the garden mentioned by the pastor, required constant care, but the flowers that bloomed from this care were of unparalleled beauty. Years later, when they celebrated their own silver anniversary, Christian and Vicky looked at each other with eyes filled with love and gratitude. They remembered that crucial night when they were on the verge of throwing everything away, and they smiled as they thought of how the words of a stranger had changed the course of their lives. On that day, they renewed their vows not only to each other but to the love decision they had learned to cultivate. And as their guests applauded, Christian and Vicky silently thanked that unknown pastor, whose wisdom had helped them transform an almost end into a new and beautiful beginning. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.